Welcome back to B&E Productions. I'm Ethan, and here we are with another Airsoft video. Today is actually going to be a disassembly on this Matrix / SNT Sportsline edition, so let's get into it. So first, a couple things that you'll need. Phillips head screwdriver, something that's going to be long enough to get down the buffer tube. Typically this is going to be used on a lot of the things here. And then I also like having punches. Just makes it easier to remove some of the pins. And then for me, I actually used my multi-tool a little bit too, because some of them I felt like this is a smaller screwdriver, so it was a little bit flimsier, and I liked being able to use this as more of a grip. So just so you know what I used. So let's get into it. So the first thing we're going to do is remove the upper receiver. So I just use my punch here. I'll just go ahead and push these out. On your newer guns, these are going to be pretty stiff. Took me quite a bit to do it the first time. There we go. So we'll just put our body pins off to the side here. And then we'll go ahead and just simply slide the upper receiver forward. We'll put that off to the side. We're not going to be needing this for this part. So now we're just left with the lower receiver. Next step here is going to be removing the stock. So on this model, you'll just go ahead and you'll push these tabs in off to the side there. To remove the stock, you'll just slide the adjustment straight down rather than just doing that. So that's how you'll take that off. Again, you'll just put that to the side. Next part, this is kind of the more trickier part of this, is there is a Phillips head screw down here. So you'll go ahead and you'll take your long screwdriver. And then at this point, you'll just go ahead and unscrew it. Should be enough there, almost. So now that is completely removed, the way that Matrix did this is there is a retaining washer in here. So what you're going to need to do is just take your screwdriver and just push the pin along there. So here is the screw. And here's the washer that holds it in place. So as you can tell, there's just a little bit of room cut out here. And what that is for is to keep the wires pinched underneath, or not pinched, but pushed underneath, so that way you don't run into pinching. So when we reassemble it, and I'll show you how to do that later, but yeah, you'll just want to make sure that you don't cause any stress on the wires by putting that in. So that goes with that. At this point, we'll be able to slip the buffer tube completely off. So back into the main focus, we're going to take this plate off. Sometimes you'll be able to get it pretty easily, and then sometimes you'll just need a little bit of help from a screwdriver. There we go. So once you get to that point, like I said, you'll just slide this straight off. There we go. So at this point, we're going to go ahead and we're going to take the motor plate off. So again, these are just some Phillips head screws. These are a little canted on this model, so when you are unscrewing and when you're screwing it and unscrewing it, just make sure that you are getting it at the correct angle. There we go. So we will go ahead and make sure that all of our screws are where they need to be. I'm gonna go ahead and move some of this out of the way. So next what we're gonna do is we are going to be taking out the magazine button. So this is just a simple Phillips head as well. So we will unscrew this. There we go. Sometimes it gets a little caught up there, but no problem there. So that should just fall free, just to make this easy and not trying to lose my parts here, because some of these do have very tiny screws. You just want to make sure that everything is together. So next up, what we're going to do is we're going to be taking the motor out. So in this particular model, negative is up front and positive is in the rear. So you'll just go ahead and you'll slip off the connectors. Pretty simple there. The first time I took this off, this was actually very stiff. I guess it still is apparently. So you'll just want to go ahead and kind of just work the motor out. There we go. You'll want to make sure that screw is still retained on there. We'll go ahead and put the motor to the side. But yeah, like I said, it is marked positive and negative, and when you are assembling and disassembling, the positive is actually in the rear on this model. When you are disassembling your airsoft gun, just try to pay attention to that, because some of these models are different. So now at this point, this is going to be very hard to see, but there are some screws down in here. So to take the pistol grip off, we will be removing those screws. So something to note here as we take off our pistol grip, my bolt catch did fall out, no big deal. We'll just go ahead and we'll put that back on when we do our reassembly. When we slip off our pistol grip here, we have 2 holes and then 2 wires. So the way this works here is our positive wire goes through the hole in the rear, and then our negative goes through the hole in the forward. So be careful here taking these terminals out of the pistol grip. It's very simple, but you just want to be nice and easy on it. So I'll go ahead and try to get that in the light here. So your screws will be in these corners here, and then the negative terminal will go through here, and then the positive will go in the rear of the pistol grip. So just something to note there. So lastly, to get this to come out, we will remove this punch here. Alrighty, so we did get this final pin out. Took a little bit of time, and the punches actually really do help. So I suggest, if you don't have them, to invest in some if you are going to be taking anything like this apart. One thing I forgot to mention is you will be removing it left to right if you're looking, down at the receiver. So something to note there. So at this point, the gearbox should just come out of the receiver fairly easily. Just gonna need a little bit of finagling here. So yeah, like I said, just a little bit of fin dangling there, but here is the gearbox on the Matrix S&T. I know this video took a long time to get out. I know I've been asked numerous times. I just never really felt comfortable doing it. But now that I know how and got all the parts, or all the tools to do it, now I'm very comfortable. I will not be doing a disassembly on the gearbox because that I know I'm not comfortable with doing. But this is just a quick video over this. And now let's reassemble it and get everything back to where it should be. So basically we are just going to work backwards here. Very standard reassembly. So I'm going to make sure all the wires get to where they need to go. And then now it's just trying to line everything up and get everything back and squared away. Much easier to go ahead and put it back in. So at this point, I want to make sure everything's aligned, and then we'll be taking our punch from the center. We will be putting that back in. All right. Sorry for that weird cut. It actually just took me a little bit because I was trying to go left to right. So you want to make sure that you put it in the way it came out. So you'll go ahead and you'll put it on the left-hand side. Push that back in. Easy way to tell which side goes which is if you were using a punch. It should kind of like, I'll say a little bit of mar on the one side that you push through. So you know which side should be out. Next thing we are going to be doing is putting our magazine release back. So you'll go ahead and you'll put your slide on this side. There's some rings to go ahead and line up. Bam. You'll drop your spring in. Then the easiest way I found to do this is just to hold everything one-handed, and then you'll be screwing everything else in with the other hand. There we go, everything still works. And this is also what helps hold your gearbox in, so something to note there. Next thing we'll be doing is reinstalling our pistol grip. So, get that out of the way. Like I said, negative in the front and positive in the rear. So then that should slide back on very easily. And then we will be taking our screws and putting those back on. All right, so now that we have all of our screws on, we'll go ahead and put our motor back in. Something I found easy to do is because this spring just won't stay on, is to just go ahead and do it like so. So you want to make sure that the positive is in the rear. So we will go ahead and reinstall the motor. Bam, so now that that is all good and locked in, got the positive terminal and then the negative terminal. Alrighty, so now that that is good to go. You you want to make sure that it does have that little bit of play, so that way if anything happens, you will still have your motor adjustment ready to go. Has that play. So now we will go ahead and install the motor plate back on. So now that is all nice and good. So next thing, we will be slipping the rear plate back on. You want to make sure that the indentation is in towards here. And then that slides just back onto these grooves. Very easy to line up and get back on here. There we go, just like so. So next order of business is getting the buffer tube back on. So what you're going to want to do is you want to slide your wire in first, and then you will take your screw. You can go ahead and just thread it. Oop. Get it all nice and ready there, and go ahead and get your screwdriver nice and aligned. So like I said, the reason this is in here is to make sure that the wire does not get pinched. So you want to make sure that that is correctly aligned. Go ahead and drop it in like so. And then you should be able just to push that in until it gets down to the end, and then you will be able to start screwing this back in. Alrighty, we are good to go there. So then we'll take our stock, we'll go ahead and feed the wire through. And then, like I said earlier, like you'll just pull this straight down, and then you'll be able to slide that back on. Next, we have our rear stock plate. Easy, just slide that back on. One thing to do, since this did fall off, we'll just go ahead and we'll slide that back on. Since this is a dummy model, there's no extra stuff, like you literally just slide this on and off, so no big deal there. We'll go ahead and take our upper receiver, slide it back, and then we just have our body pins. The circular one is for the one in the back. And then this one that has like the little cut, that cut will go towards the receiver downwards, and then we'll just be able to push these back in. There we go. Awesome. So now that we got our body pins back in, they can be a little stiff, especially because I've never taken the body pins out. The more you take them out, the easier it will become, so just so you know. Something to note, some of these looked like it was easy to get out, some were kind of hard, so some things you'd kind of do have to put a little force into to remove, especially if it's a newer gun, because it hasn't been removed, so just so you know. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and have a great rest of your day.